Welcome back. Let's take a little recap of the Cape Cod Highline HO model railroad I've built. Here you see the lower Pilgrim Lake and the Rock Mountains, upper Pilgrim Lake and the area where the waterfall will be, again through the bottom of the lake. This is up through Highland Pass and the rocks that have been painted and added, as well as some of the ground cover you see, and back to upper Pilgrim Lake. You see the ground cover on top of the Highlands. Let's take a look at how we created some of the ground cover. We're using some of the Woodland Scenics coarse turf medium and dark green, as well as burnt grass. We're also using matte Mod Podge and dark green and light green lichen. See where we added the lichen in and added some of the ground cover on top. Now let's take a look at the undercoat for lower Pilgrim Lake. I used the Woodland Scenics navy blue and a brush on the entire bottom of the lake. Give it a nice, good, deep coat. Let's take a look at how we painted some of the rock molds. Again, using the Woodland Scenics earth tones, I used the yellow ochre, slate gray, stone gray, as well as a very soft black wash. Let's take a look at how we did the shoreline. I used some very fine sand, a coarse sand, some small pebbles, as well as some Mod Podge matte. You see here I sprinkled the sand along the shoreline and created a little bar out into the lake. Added the different depths and coarse textures, and then drizzled some of the Mod Podge over the top to nail it all down. Also went back and glued in the tufts of grass that we made in a much earlier episode. Now let's take a look at how we use the water kit from Woodland Scenics. As well as I use some water tint, the turquoise water tint. Here's the upper Pilgrim Lake. Now for that resin, I wanted that deep turquoise, similar to what you see in a glacial lake. So once you mix it up follow the directions, but about 5 minutes total mixing. This is the pour. I wanted to use most of that deep glacial blue on the upper part of the pond. And then after the pour, you'll notice here it is setting. And I used a small amount in the lower part. Let's take a look at the resin pour for the lower lake now. I used, this time, 12 ounces of the deep water clear and only a few drops of that turquoise tint. I wanted a much deeper color. So you'll see here I begin to pour in part of the falls. Before and now after I start to dribble it down, this is one area of the falls again. And then I start to pour the lower lake. You'll see the resin will go over the top of that silted glacial color. And here's the final look. Now let's review what we've done so far. I've added the resin pours. You see many more areas that have been covered with the lichen, dark and light green, the coarse medium and light green, as well as burnt grass ground cover. Tucked in some bits here and there and some of the rockfall. I want to thank you for coming today and watching our Cape Cod Highland HO model railroad.